recording. Yeah. Okay. Now, coming to the last class, we had discussed how the VC table is going to work and how the VC is related with an port numbers and all. We have seen. We'll go back to that particular figure where it will be understandable. Means host A wants to send a packets to host B. As I refresh you like this, how a virtual circuit or connection oriented will work. First, a connection establishment will be done. After the confirmation of the path connection, then the packets will be sent. So for connection establishment, how the switches will change their particular state means each switches will create its own VC table, that is virtual circuit table with a unique number. In that according to the path, the port numbers will be input and input port and output port numbers will be entered. In a last class, as we have discussed that if host A wants to communicate with a host B, first it will request its switch router stating that I want to send a packet to so and so address. Then what that switch will do, it will ask its neighbor switch. Whoever neighbor switches are there, it will ask that neighbor switches. So that neighbor switch again, it will change its state and it will ask so and so host B address is needed, where it will be there. So it will mean switch 2 will be asked with other switch and switch 3, and then switch 3 in turn when it finds host B is there in its network, then automatically it will tells in switch 3 first VC table will be updated with a unique number of that particular entire circuit. So that table, what it will be updated, the input of a host B is 1 and output is 0. That switch 3 whatever is it, that table will be sent, means that information will be sent to switch 2, where switch 2 will take that particular VC table and it will check the unique number of the VC table. Yes, it is correct, this belongs to this particular VC table only. Then what it will do, yes, host B is connected to 1 there. Now according to this, the switch 1 is a output port. Now what will be the input port here, means means the coming input port is 3 here and output port is 2, and later on it will take like this, the input port is 1 and output port is 2. So that will be updated again in this VC table of switch 2 and it will be sent to the switch 1. Next, switch 1, what it will do, yes, it will confirms that switch 2 knows the host B, then automatically in its VC table it will updates that input port is 2 and output port is 1. Then that information will be sent to host A. Now in this way the connection will be established. Now host A will come to know that I have to send an packets to switch 1, where that packets will be thrown out from output 1, and according to switch 2 VC table the number, it will comes to know that the input port is 3 and output port is 2, then automatically packet will be sent in that output port. Then automatically switch 3 comes to know that the input port is 0 for this unique number, then the output port is 1, which is the host B has been connected. Now these, in this way the connection oriented table will works. Once it has been decided, then the packets will be keep on sending. In a last class we had discussed this particular things and we discussed the good properties of virtual table also, then how a confirmation will be there and it will be used with X.25 network, that is usually used within a banking networks. That also we had discussed, and in ATMs also this type of a connection oriented things will be used, where a confirmation of the connectivity will be there and the packets is moving in one particular definite path, not like in a connectionless the flooding will not be there, the packet will move in either ways, means one line link is busy, automatically it will move in other ways. Here it's not like that, a confirmation will be there for both source and the destination, that in which particular path the packet is moving, via which particular nodes the packet is moving. So because of this confirmation, mainly it will be used in applications like banking and ATMs. Now coming to the next thing, as I told you this in a last class only we had discussed, now we'll start with ATM, that is asynchronous transfer mode. So everyone, we know that how ATMs will work, and how means different core bank means any card you can use in any ATMs. This is a one general thing everyone should know here. Is it correct? As I'm telling, it's correct. Means if I'm having an SBI card, I can go with an HDFC ATM and I can withdraw the money like this. Now, if you think like this as an computer professionalist, as a network engineer, then all ATMs are connected to one particular core system or a server where all banks are indeed connected to that particular thing. Correct? No? So this thing will tell means this particular concept, we will tell this as a core banking system. So that means almost all banks will be under one particular umbrella, which will be keep on working, and where it will have its own separate cloud, I mean separate network will be there, even though it will be linked together. So because of this particular reason, the ATMs is opened for all other cards. Then you will get another doubt like this: one bank card is there, another bank is card, maybe same number will be there. No. So here cards also, it will comes like this, some particular means where 16 numbers will be there. In that, some number starting numbers will be reserved for a bank, like a mobile numbers, what we have discussed in a previous classes when discussing about the physical address of an adapters of Ethernet cards. So same thing here also. So it will be based on MasterCard and a Visa cards. Entire banking system is divided into in India based on this particular two things, that is a MasterCard and a Visa card. Some banks belongs to Visa and some banks belongs to MasterCard. Rupee is also there. Some group will belongs to some particular that type of a group. So based on that particular group, the uniqueness of the cards will be maintained. So these are the basic things you must know about an ATM first. That means once if you means how a ATM process will also be there. Means once the card, if you insert, the card evaluation should be done. Yes, the card is correct, the number is correct, and which bank it has been issued, either it's a MasterCard or a Visa or Rupee card, it should confirm it. Once it has been confirmed whom it belongs to, that particular card, then it will ask you PIN. Once a PIN is entered, once that PIN has been verified, yes, the PIN what you have entered is correct, then authentication, authorization will be given to you to do the transaction. Once if you come to know that the authorization has been given to you, then automatically the banking will be open to you, and you can go for either saving account, current account, like that, withdrawal of money, or something, whatever balance inquiry, whatever you want, you can do. After doing that, based on your account availability of money, your transaction will be processed. So this is one regular structure of the ATM everyone should know. And the internal thing what you must know is each ATM is connected with a network. A separate line will be there for that particular ATM connections, and that will belongs to one core server. It will be there in a Bombay. So every ATM transactions is related where a server is maintained in a Bombay, that will call it as core banking server. Now coming to the in details of a asynchronous transfer mode. Most well-known VC based networking technology, that is virtual circuit or a connection oriented technology, is a the ATM. Some outpace its peak in terms of an deployment was important in the 1980s and early 1990s. High-speed switching technology, which is well needed, was thought to take over the world. Now, connection-oriented packet switched network is implemented in ATMs later on, the 1990s. The packets are called cells here. So 5-byte header and 48-byte payload will be there. You must keep in your mind 5-byte header, 5 byte means so 5 8s are 40 means 40 bits header will be there. So 48-byte, 48 into 8, that many bits of data you can transfer in one particular cell. Packets are called here cells, not a packets. It has been called as a cells here. So each cell will be maintained in that particular thing. Fixed length packets are easier to switch in hardware, so simpler to design. That is, here the cells are a fixed length, means no variation of packets. Like I can say like this very clearly, it's not an heterogeneous, means entire ATMs will follow one type of a network where it can fix the packet size, which is easier in a design. That is a one important thing. Now coming to the next thing, ATM. Main thing is a GFC, that is generic flow control. So that one which you have to consider here, that not used actually, but generic flow control, what for, I will tell you later. First you come to VPI, virtual path identifier, then VCI, virtual circuit identifier. Now what these two things are very much important here. VPI plus VCI together makes the VC number we called above. In a previous slides, as we had discussed in a previous slides, stating like that, the whatever the VPI means, virtual pathfinder is there and virtual circuit identifier is there. Both things together combined will become a VC number for that particular entire circuit, means virtual circuit. So that you have to take into the consideration. Now coming to the things, next thing is type management. Concession control will be there. That is a one type will be there. CLP is there, that is cell loss property will be there. Header error check will also be there, which is confirmed with CRC. Now you see this particular whatever a packet format or a cell format of a ATM network will be there. One is a GFC, that is generic flow control. What is a generic flow control? How much traffic is there in that particular link capacity or a bandwidth. Checking for that particular thing, first thing will be used. Usually in olden 1990s or 1980s, this is very much important field. But today's in this large network where OFC optical fiber networking is there and a high bandwidth networking which we are using, so almost all the flow control will not so important here, but VPI and VCI is very much important, where VPI will tell you the pathfinder, that is port numbers, input and outputs, what I told you, and the VCI circuit identifier will give a unique number. So combining both the things, it will give you the VC table. So these two things will call it as a VC table of 8 and 16 bits. Coming to the next thing, that is a type, that is how a congestion control will be done, which type of an means packet it is, where has been congestion occurred, all flow control will be there in this, means congestion control will be there in this particular type field. Now that is next is CLP, that is cell loss priority. What is cell loss priority? Especially in ATMs and all, each and every cell will place in a very much important role. Why? Because a banking transaction. Everyone listening, right? Connection is there, right? Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Connection is there, right? Yeah. Okay. Now coming to the next thing, that is a cell loss priority. What is a cell loss priority? The cell, whatever is moving in a network, in what time this will going to die. So that cell loss priority will be taken into the consideration. That will have a 1 bit. Means this cell should be moved very urgently. Then automatically it will be moved. Otherwise, cell will move in a normal thing. So based on that particular thing, priority, it's a 1 bit, either 0 or 1 will be there. For example, if 1 means cell loss priority is more, it has to move urgently. If 0 is there, not to move. So HEC is there, that is a header, whatever header fields is there, that is VPI, VCI number, everything is there. So whether it is correct or not, we are going to check that using CRC. And payload will be there of 384 bits or 48 bytes. So this is a header format of an ATM cell. So it can be asked in a question, define the ATM and its header and its packet format or a cell format in detail with the fields. This question can be asked to you. Next, coming to the source routing. Now application of VC means virtual network or connection oriented routing. In that, I have told you the example of a ATM also. Now coming to source routing. Now source routing is another one very important thing. How these things will be taken. Source routing will be done in both the combinations of connectionless and a connection oriented. In one thing I want to tell in general. Now we'll get a in depth of that particular thing. All the information about network topology that is required to switch a packet across the network is provided by the source host. This is very much important. That is, what is the source routing? The source knows that, so in which particular path the packet should flood. Knowing the source, then only it will send a data packet. Otherwise, the source never sends a data packet. Very simple. For example, I am a sender. Assume I want to send in a data packet. Before sending in a data packet, either where is my destination, via which path if I move, which will be the shortest path to move my destination. Either this is the shortest path to move my destination, whether destination is alive or not, whether he is there running or not, everything I should know. So in between nodes also I should know as a source while sending. In between something occurs, assume the link file or something occurs, the in between nodes will intimate me as a sender that the so and so link between that between nodes of X and Y has been cut down. So the information will come to source again. What source will do again? It will go to find a new path again in that particular network. That means your source should know entire network or entire topology of that particular network. If this path is filed, it will source will tell, okay, means shortest path is one. If that shortest path is filed, we'll go to the second shortest path. If that shortest path is filed, next shortest path. Like that, the source should know via which particular nodes this is flooding. So this is called as a source routing. I clear everything. Here, the information about a network topology that is required to send a packet from source to destination will be known to the source host. That is called as a source routing. Now you observe this particular figure again, whatever is there. You observe that host A wants to communicate with host B, and you observe there how the things is there here. Means how the 3 number will be taken into consideration and how it is moving to this particular switch 3. Now, how these things I'll tell you. Come to this particular thing. First, we'll go with the algorithm. Notes on a source routing. First, you know this. We'll come back to the diagram again. Assumes that the source host knows enough about the topology of the network. This should be known. As I told you that it knows everything about the network. Analogous the problem of building the forwarding table in datagram networks or figuring out where to send a set up packet in a virtual circuit network. So means whatever a problem of building of the forwarding tables will be there, that will be suppressed. I will tell you how. Then coming to here, we cannot predict how the header needs to be in that particular switches. Next, can be used in both datagram and a virtual circuit network. For example, IP, which is a datagram protocol, includes a source route option that allows selected packets to be source routed. So even IP protocol, whatever is there, which will works always in a connectionless oriented, in some situations, it will have an option called as which you can select the source routed. Means it will be turned to the definite path of that particular thing. Now, coming to the next bridges and LANs. Before this, coming back to this particular figure, now you observe how a source routing will be done here. Now, whatever a ports is there, observe first ports here. That is 0, 1, 2, 3 is there. And host A is there here. Now, observing this particular host A, 301 is there, 2 is not there. Are you seeing here? That is 2 is engaged by already host A, remaining ports are 301. So it will be taken into the consideration. Now what this here, now when it goes with particular, this is the input route, it will comes here. Now this is a one whatever is there, observe carefully, this is a one whatever is there which will indicate the output port. So it will indicate the output port, which is a rightmost means number is there, that will be taken as an output port. Now observe, already 2 is engaged here, host A, whatever remaining ports is there, 301 is there. So 1 will be taken into the rightmost thing. So that means that out of the output ports 301, the packet whatever is sending from host A should be transferred with port number 1. Now you come back here. Now observe carefully here, 0, 1, 2, 3 is there in a switch 2. Am I right? 0, 1, 2, 3 is there. Now coming to here, what is the here particular thing here? You can observe here, 0 is there, the last number. So the input whatever is coming is 3, 3 now here, and the output whatever is should be gone is 0. Means the last rightmost bit will tell which is the output port of a switch 2. Now again I repeat, now here 3 will be added, that is the input port is 3, and the output port whatever is there will be 0. Now again it will come means it will come here. Now you observe carefully here, what is the output port? The right means whatever the means rightmost bit is there, 3, that is the output port is there. Now you can see here, whatever of 1 is there, it will not take into consideration. The whatever 3 is there, it will go via particular 3. Now always the last numbers will be taken into the consideration here. According to the port numbers, the packet will keep on moving. So in this way, the packet forwarding will be done in a source routing. Coming to next topic, that is bridges and LAN switches. Now what is a bridges here and what is a LAN switches? Now whatever we have discussed still now is a LAN switches. That is as I told you that one LAN is connected with another LAN, that is called as a LAN switches. Now what is bridges here? This is another question which is very much important. Class of switches that is used to forward packets between shared media LANs such as Ethernet, known as LAN switches, referred to as bridges. What do you mean by this? Means whatever a LAN switches is there between one LAN, means one LAN of Ethernet and another LAN of Ethernet, even though we'll call it as an LAN switches, that is manageable switches. In our language, I told you in a commercial market, router, ordinary routers, then we'll call, even though we'll call that as a bridges also. In a network layer, the bridges and the switches, LAN switches, whatever is there, will be referred almost all to the routers. Now coming to here, suppose you have a pair of Ethernets that you want to interconnect. Means one LAN and two LANs is there which we want to interconnect. One approach is to put a repeater in between them. It might exceed the physical limitation of the Ethernet. Means what here they are telling, repeater. Repeater means nothing but a hub. So just will combine the two particular LANs. So if you combine like that, maybe the number of the systems will become more in that particular both the networks. That means two networks will become one network. It will be not treated as a two independent networks. So because of that particular reason. Now, it might exceed the physical limitation of the Ethernet. No more than 4 repeaters between any pair of hosts can be used. No more than a total of 2,500 meters in length is allowed. So whatever repeaters you are going to put, maximum you have to take the 2,500 meters, but in practical, as I told you that maximum 600 to 800 meters, it's maximum today's LANs. So we can't take more than that particular apart. So if you tell like that, everywhere I will put one repeater, I will connect all the LANs of the entire BMSIT campus. No, it's not possible. If you connect like that, entire network will become one single network, and it is far distance which will be there, which you can't be workful. So in between, you need a routers which will be treated as two separate networks. Alternative would be to put a node between two Ethernets and have the node forward frames from one Ethernet to the other. This node is called as a bridge, nothing but a router. A collection of LANs connected by one or more bridges is usually said to form an extended LAN. Now, what do you mean by this? One LAN is already there, another LAN is already there, another LAN is already there. In between, I will put a router. So two LANs will be managed as independent LANs, but it will be taken into the extended one LAN or one particular network. Like that, entire BMSIT campus will be brought to a single particular network with two or three routers which will be connected between the departments. So that will be taken into the consideration. An entire BMSIT network, we'll call it as an extended LAN. Right. Now, coming to the next thing here, that is simplest strategy of a bridges. Accept LAN frames on their inputs and forward them out to all other outputs used by earlier bridges. Very simple. What is this? It will accept whatever means wherever the bridge is connected or a router is connected. It means from that particular LAN, whatever frames is coming, packet is coming, it will accept that particular packet and it will forward according to which output port it should move. Used by early bridges. Learning bridges. Observe that there is no need to forward all the frames that a bridge receives. Sometimes it will be like this. Whenever the node means whatever frames are coming to the particular bridge, there is no need to forward it. Internal network means internally with one system, it can be sent with the other particular systems. Sorry. Yeah. Next, coming to the consider the following figure. Now you observe this particular figure where you can understand the bridge or a router very clearly. Consider the following figure. When a frame from host A that is addressed to host B arrives on port 1, or you take host A, whatever a host B is there, it will arrive on a port 1. Correct? Host B means host B is also connected to particular bridge only. Arrives on port 1. There is no need for the bridge to forward the frame out over port 2. There is no need to send a port 2. Why? Why? Because for port 1 only, the host B is also connected. That's why it will be rebounded back. In a last slide, we told that is very much important. Why? Because whatever a LAN that side is there, B and A and B are within one particular network. But you see, how does a bridge come to learn on which port the various hosts reside? For example, if A wants to send a X, means it should come via port 1, and next the output port means the packet should be forwarded to port 2. Otherwise, it never comes to, means if it comes to port 2, then automatically it will comes to the X. So means here forwarding is needed. Now, how does a bridge come to learn on which port the various hosts has been connected? So for this solution, download a table into the bridge. Whatever a table is there, means every bridge or a router will have a table. What is the table? For a port 1, ABC is connected. For a port 2, if two ports router, if you are taking, for a port 2, XYZ has been connected. How does the download will be done? Human, too much work for maintenance. Means always when we will do manually, it will take more time. Now coming to its the simplest format of a router, will come in next thing. Can the bridge learn this information by itself? That means whatever bridges are there, can it learn itself that how many hosts has been connected to which port? Can it learn by itself of every quantum time? Now today's, you can see heterogeneous networks is there, wireless networks will be there, wired network will be there. So in this particular LANs, when you think like that, can the bridge learn this information? But I mean, static devices are less today world. Because of that particular reason I'm telling you. So this bridges, then it should learn how many devices has been connected to which particular port. Means meanwhile it will be there, it will go off, it will come like that. How? Question arises. Each bridge inspects the source address in all the frames it receives. That is, what is the source address and what is the destination address? Two addresses will be there always. So first it will check the source address, record the information about the bridge and build the table. That means first it will take the source address. Yeah, this source is connected to me. For example, if I am a bridge, if this source is connected to me by port number 1, yes, that entry will be done in a table. That is, what is this source? Assume source is A source is connected to port 1 of me. Then assume some Z will come. Z, so as a source address, it will come via port 2, assume, for example. Then what? So Z is connected to port number 2. This record will be maintained in this particular table. When a bridge first boots, this table is empty, means nothing will be there in beginning. It's a dynamic. At that particular time, it will start, means the source will send a packet. At that particular time, it will start. Yes, who is this source? And make an entry like that. Entries are added over time. Every quantum time, the entries will be keep on adding. A timeout is associated with each entry. Always with each entry, timeout will also be there. The bridge discards the entry after a specified period of time. Within that specified period of time, the entries is not coming, means registration has not been done with the particular bridge, all the sources, whatever are there, then it never considers that particular devices. To protect against the situation in which a host is moved from one network to another network. This is also important. If a host, whatever is there, if he wants to move from one network to another network, so first the registration of that particular device is needed with all the routers or bridges. First registration should be done within particular time. Means when I come to this particular access point or means a router area, once it has been come, within the quantum time it should be registered. Otherwise it will think like that it has moved out from that particular area of that particular bridge. If the bridge receives a frame that is addressed to the host not currently in the table, forward the frame out on all other ports. Assume if the bridge receives a frame that is addressed, means whom it has been addressed, if it is not in that particular table, then what it will do, that means it is not at all connected to me, that device is not at all connected to me, then it will throw in all ports. Means it doesn't want to lose that particular thing. It throws in all ports of a particular output ports, that bridge will be thrown. Either a reply will come, means that particular packet will move in that ports and reach the destination. Now, strategy works fine if the extended LAN does not have a loop in it. If loop is not there, definitely it will work. But if loop is there, it will keep on rotating. How to get a without a loop network? This is very much important question. Always very simple. When you learned already graph theory, I know, right? So very simple concept is a spanning tree. What is a spanning tree? Very simple. Tree means it's not closed. A graph is a one, either it can be a connected or a non-connected graph. So when a closed graph, connected graph, if you are taking into the consideration, in that if I tell you that to construct a tree, then tree is always a unclosed. You know everyone. Then what is a spanning tree? In this means regarding this particular topic, we'll discuss in next coming class how a spanning tree, what is a minimum spanning tree, in that minimum spanning tree, what is the role in a computer networks, how that minimum spanning tree will play a very important role here in a bridges. What is a spanning tree algorithm? See, what is a spanning tree algorithm? How this spanning tree algorithm will be implemented in a bridges? Everything will learn in a coming class. Okay. Now, thank you very much. I'll stop the sharing. Now, how many are there? Only 9 members. What about others? Huh? The number is keep on coming down. Hello. Hello.
So,
Tell your friends the number is keep on coming down. Why? What's the problem? Huh? You should attend the classes, right? No. Anyway, you are in houses. No, what you are doing in house? Huh? You shouldn't go out. So what you are doing? Huh? So try to attend the classes. Tell your friends to attend the classes. Okay. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
sir.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Thank you.
Sure.